coming from that, there was a lot of failure was an option. Right. It just was not an option. Yeah. I didn't have a plan B. I didn't have a backup plan. I didn't that was my path. It was either this is going to work out or it's not.
Not every battle has a success story, but every success story has a battle. Hi, I'm Tia Minzoni, CEO and co-owner of luxury private jet company Stella Jets, a serial entrepreneur, a survivor, and your host of the Fight to Fly show. On Fight to Fly, I sit down with the world's highest achievers who share their incredible stories and lessons they've learned on their own Fight to Fly. Expect to be inspired, entertained, and motivated to break down the barriers between you and your high-achieving success story. Come back each week for a new episode and be ready to empower yourself to give your dreams wings. Welcome to the Fight to Fly show. Welcome to this week's Fight to Fly show. This week, we have Christi Beca with us. Christi is in the top 1% of real estate agents in North Texas. She is an amazing boss babe. And she also is the CEO and founder of a nonprofit called Flower Mound Women in Business, which is how we connected. And like me, she has a heart for helping other women. And we're so excited to talk to her today. Christi, welcome to the Fight to Fly show.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. And it's an honor to be here.
Awesome.
Yes.
So you and I met and
oh my gosh,
instant best friends.
Yeah.
Because we're both Leos.
Exactly. Which we just found out about. We're like a couple weeks apart.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's amazing. And and I knew that I liked you, and we just have the same energy.
Yeah.
And so
not the same phone, but it's fine.
Hey, don't hate on my Android. I will take up 30 minutes talking about how great Android phones are, but I won't, people. It's all right.
Same energy.
Yeah.
Really clicked. And then you tell me your story.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, the world revolves around stories. So you definitely
storytelling.
Yeah. Got me with that. And then just the amazing stuff that you are doing for women locally. Mm-hmm. So, I want to talk about that. I want to talk about how you became in the top 1% of real estate agents. Yeah. First of all, because there's so many real estate agents.
There's like 1,000 on every corner.
Like I could be in the top 1% of private jet companies.
Exactly.
And that's not as big of a deal because there's not as many of us as there are real estate agents. So congratulations on that. That's huge.
Oh my gosh. Thank you. And, it's really about personal branding. And I know we've talked about that a lot, about telling your story and who you are and how you connect with your audience and your clients and where does that come from? What, I was, it all comes back to, kind of my story of where it all began and how I got started. I'm a third generation, in real estate. So, so it's been in my blood, but I didn't find the passion for it until later in life, until after I went through a devastating divorce and had to find out who I wanted to be in my 2.0, who's Christi going to be 2.0. And, I had to do some soul searching and, I found myself, coming out of a divorce and, as like being a single mom and, and having to take care of 2 kids and I didn't know what I was going to do. And I found myself in a situation to where, okay, now I had to figure out how to, provide for my kids. And at the time, my ex was the breadwinner and I was a stay-at-home mom. And so I found myself basically, broke, homeless and, nowhere to go really after the divorce. And we sold the house and it was ready to have my life start completely over. And it was kind of one of those moments. I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? Where am I going to go? How am I going to provide for these 2 kids? All the who, what, when, and where, right? And there's just something in that internal strength as moms that, it's just, they call that the mama bear. And you're like, okay, now it's on me to provide for my 2 kids. And I took it as a challenge. I've always risen to challenges and, it was from there. I was like, okay, I've got to swallow my pride. I have no idea where I'm going to go, what I'm going to do. Had to move in with my parents when I was in my 40s. I'm like, which I don't recommend it. Just saying. And I hadn't lived with my parents since I was 18. Right. I mean, and so it was very humbling and very hard. And my parents are wonderful and they're gracious and they're love you, mom and dad. And, they are wonderful. And, but it's, and they were happy to obviously take us in. And so But, again, it was like, okay, now, I didn't want to stay there forever. So I needed to figure out what I was going to do, and found, later in life, the love of real estate, and really honed in and buckled down and said, okay, this is what I want to do from this point forward. And I'm able to provide for my kids and have a little bit of a flexible lifestyle. They say it's flexible, but we work really hard, being in top, real estate or anything you do in business.
I like how humble you are. No, I'm the only one in this room right now that knows you drive a Maserati.
Now she's out here calling me out.
From homeless to Maserati, but she still has an Android. So
you got to keep it real. Got to be humble, See, here she is calling me out, people. And, I've done well for myself over the last 10 years. So, but I've definitely earned it and worked hard for it. But yeah, coming from that, there was a lot of failure was an option. Right. It just was not an option. I didn't have a plan B. I didn't have a backup plan. I didn't that was my path. It was either this is going to work out or it's not. Yeah. And, it's either, what they say, it's either you learn, or either you win or you learn. Right. But you never lose. Yeah. And I always
say the more you fail, the faster you'll succeed.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Failing forward. Yeah. Right. And you just fail forward and, you make those mistakes and fall and, but it's not about falling. It's about getting back up and it's the choice to get back up. Yeah. And, it's also that saying, what you fall 7, but you get up 8. Yeah. And that was the thing that I was like, I don't care, I'm going to throw caution to the wind. And when you are someone that you have nothing to lose, you lose nothing. So you just have to go for it. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So that's what I did. And, through the perseverance and grind and hustle and grit and not taking no for an answer and working 16, almost 17-hour days every single day, to create, this team and this environment of, winning and giving it back, to our clients and really servicing them and doing whatever we could, has been the focal point and the main driver behind our business. Yeah. And it's always been about the customer experience. Yeah. And you're right. There's 1,000 real estate agents on every corner. Yeah. But it's through that personalization and market knowledge. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's you have to know what you're doing and you have to know your stuff. Because again, if you don't know what you're doing, they have a million other people they can go to.
Right. So early on, it's, obviously you went through a rough patch and then you made a decision and then you committed to that decision.
Yes. Yeah.
But early on, you didn't have the same knowledge that you have now, right?
Oh,
in
absolutely.
Real estate.
Absolutely.
And it took a lot, I'm sure, of grit.
Yes.
To get through until you were at a spot where you can do that and deliver some good customer service.
Oh, 100%. And when you're new, and this goes for anybody at any time or doesn't necessarily mean real estate, but any industry, even the best experts, we're beginners at one point, and that's okay. Yeah. And it's okay to not know something and it's okay to say you don't know something, but it's not okay to stay there. Right. So, you've got to learn from your mistakes and you've got to, I remember I was in the office and I had a wonderful, JP who owned, he's now since sold it, but, JPAR here in Texas. Huge brokerage. He was one of my personal mentors and, he was gracious enough to take me underneath his wing and just kind of teach me. But I was just constantly in his office and talking to him and calling him on the phone. What do I do here? What do I do here? I wasn't afraid to go there. I wasn't afraid, to go to the best in the industry to say, help me with this and follow them around and be a fly on the wall. And what do I do? And persistence. You have to be persistent, and especially in this business and it's sales and clients and customer service and, and all those things. But you just have to, really just with anything, it's grit, not giving up. You can't give up. And just when you feel like it's almost one of those things, just when you feel like you're about to give up, that's when the success happens. Yeah. You know what I mean? And God, my first year in real estate, I sucked. To be honest, I was a fly on the wall and I'm like, what do I do? And there's so much to do and there's so many people and how do I keep these transactions straight and what the hell and left, right, up, down. I'm like, you're drinking from a fire hose. And I think with anything, when you start a new business or a new industry, there's going to be that learning curve. Yeah. And so, but it was just through repetition and grind and grit and just never giving up and just having that ability of if I don't know something, I'm going to find it and I'm going to find the answer.
And you did what most coaches, especially online coaches, recommend, which is go to somebody who's done it before.
Yes,
right?
Exactly. Get a mentor.
Don't get advice from people who have never been where you want to go.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. There are a lot of people out there, and I will tell you this, there are a lot of people out there who have a lot of opinions on what you should or shouldn't do. For anyone, I don't care what industry you're in, judge the source, before you listen to the message. Is that someone you want to emulate? Is that someone you want to be like? And do they even know what they're even talking about? You know what I mean? And some people have the best of intentions.
That's what I was going to say.
And
a lot of it comes from the heart, but they have no experience.
1000%.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they don't know what they're doing or they mean well, you know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about, but they do, they mean well, and it comes from a great place, but to get, to hear in order to get to the next level, you have to, find those mentors who have walked that path before you.
Right.
And those are the people you need to pay attention to. And those are the people you need to follow their advice and their opinions. Everybody else, you're like, take with a grain of salt. Thanks. I appreciate it. But
and that's actually part of what you do as well. So your Flower Mound Women in Business, you started to help women going through something that you had been through yourself.
1000%. Yeah. So whenever I got divorced, I was living with my parents, and you have a lot of time to soul search when you hit rock bottom, and you don't really have much on your plate. And I was trying to do my best to provide for my kids, and I was taking any part-time job while I was trying to go through real estate school, and just kind of doing odds and ends stuff, anything I could do to make money to help for my family and just provide for them. But I remember just, and I'm a spiritual person, I'm a believer, I believe in God. And I just remember, day in and day out, just, when you find yourself, when you hit rock bottom, there's only one place to look, and that's up. Right. So I was constantly in my spiritual growth and constantly talking to God and just praying and saying, you know what, if you help me get out of this situation, I will forever pay it forward. And he did, he gave me that vision. And I was like, you know what, I just didn't want anyone else, any other woman to have to go through what I went through.
Right.
And, and if I could help through my experience and what I went through could help, change even one person or even encourage or inspire another woman, I will do it 10 times over. And
so how does Flower Mound Women in Business help other women?
Yeah. So I started it in 2013. 2015. And I literally with $25 in my pocket. And I was like, okay, God, whatever I go from here, whatever we're going to do. And, I knew that I wanted to impact women in a positive way, and also connect women and women business owners. Since I had just started my real estate career, I wanted to connect with other women and maybe hope and figure that maybe someone out there might be going through the same thing I'm going through. And if not, just even connect just in general as women in whatever season of life that you happen to be in. And anyway, so I started the group. And I just put it out there on social media, like, hey, this is what I'm thinking about doing. Hey, just anyone who's interested kind of in the same situation that I'm in, or just want to connect with business, women business owners, hey, let's meet for coffee. And it started with, one meetup, which was, I think, 10 or 12 people. And then the next one turned into, 15, 20 people. And then the next one, and it kind of grew from there. And then it really kind of grew into a movement of, we really felt like, there were so many women that we heard, from these coffee talks time and time again, like, thank you for starting this group. Like, thank you for, just being an encouraging word and empowering women, that who are going through, we have women who are grandmothers and, startups, and some people in their 20s and 30s and 50s and 60s. And, we really kind of run the gamut. And, we have so many different varying backgrounds too. We've got CEOs and doctors and lawyers and, restaurateurs and bakers and, people, CFOs and, people in the financial world and health and wellness world and, all sorts of backgrounds, which is great. But we all have one common goal, which is to empower each other and to connect and then to impact our community. And right now, so far, we're, I think, up to around 6,500 people in our group. And it's amazing. We get together twice a month, and we just really focus on, impacting each other, or empowering each other, sharing leads or best practices. A lot of times we, host workshops, anything that just helps women, because I feel like, sometimes women stop learning and stop wanting to, and I don't want to say stop bettering themselves, because everyone's a work in progress. I think we all have certain levels, but there's not a college out there. You know what I mean? It's just, I feel like it just stops after college.
Yeah.
And so, we hopefully provide now through what we do, provide that safe space for women to just come and whether get mentorship, ask the questions, hey, we need help with our marketing, or we need help with this, or who has, it really runs the gamut on the needs of, some of these women business owners. And so we try to help tailor the women business owners, help them out as much as we can by providing some of those workshops and things to where they can come. And obviously women only, sorry guys, women only. But I mean, it's that safe space where women feel like they're not intimidated and they can be real and they can be honest and saying, hey, we need help, or I need help in this, I need help in that. And they don't feel judged and whatnot. So we try to create that safe space for our culture. And then we connect and this morning, as a matter of fact, we had a meeting and I had a woman come up to me, which always just tears on my heartstrings. And I always start our meetings and I always talk to people, for those who don't know my story, and I just, go through, my story, kind of what I shared briefly with you today. But talking, kind of about that. And I think there's power in your story, and I think you should always continue, no matter what industry you are. I think it's always important to tell your story. And I think it's always important to, because that lends itself to your brand, and it lends yourself to say, hey, I may have been here, but I'm no longer here anymore, but I'm here now, but I want to help you.
Right.
And I think it gives it that authenticity of, hey, I may have a certain level of, success now, but I'm still a real person. This still happened.
Well, no one gets to, the level of Nike, McDonald's, stuff like that without a lot of storytelling.
Exactly. That's right.
Coming from marketing, there's been, obviously I've had all types of different clients in different levels and different industries. And even the biggest clients still tell a story, or whether it's their story or another story, it's all about storytelling. So I agree.
Stories are everything.
Until you're Nike, you need to be telling your story, right?
And Nike, if you happen to be calling, we're available.
But also your organization does a lot for the community as well, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yes, it does. We, oh my gosh, over our 9-year span, I think today we've helped over, around 250,000 people in our local community, and have raised tens of thousands of dollars to give back to other women nonprofits. And we've helped, we were helping doctors and nurses through COVID. And we were giving them free meals, through Fletcher's Corny Dogs, so that's a big Texas tradition here. And through Fletcher's, and we fed the hospital. Through COVID, we've helped first responders, police, fire department and whatnot. But we enjoy just working and giving back to the community.
I think you're doing a lot of great things. So I appreciate you doing that, because every person that you help helps our world be a better, nicer place. So it affects me. It affects my children, my grandchildren. So even if you impact 1 or 2 people, I think it makes a big difference. So I'm always pro. How can I help people who are helping people? Right.
It 1,000%. And I think we find each other. I think in the communities that we develop, and especially some of the mutual friends that we know, and
we're just a bunch of women helping women help women.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. There's so much stigma out there, and that breaks my heart, and I can't stand it. And that's one of those things. And I hate to, when society or social media, or who, wherever it comes from, pits 2 women together, or, it's the cat fights, and it's the, it's all of that stuff. There's no need for that. Yeah. There just isn't. And, we have to, when you know better, it's your obligation to do better.
Yeah.
And, and I know you have daughters, I have daughters, or I have a daughter. She feels like multiple daughters. She's 16-year-old teenager.
Does that to you.
Exactly. That's right. Exactly. And, but I want to, more importantly, I want to show her that, to lead by example.
Yeah.
And it's not so much where we came from or what happens to you. It's what do you do about it? Right? Like you take your mess and you make it your message. And that was important for me to show that to her. And so, I get all, when I talk about it sometimes, but,
that's right.
But she, it's the gratitude that I feel that she's like, Mom, thank you for showing me.
Yeah.
Thank you for showing me the way. And I'm like,
that's what we do it for, right?
Yes, that's what we do it for.
Well, how can people get involved with Flower Mound Women in Business or find you if they're looking for a luxury home in North Texas?
Yeah, absolutely. You can contact us in multiple ways. You can always reach out to me on my phone, 214-566-2196. Again, 214-566-2196. Or to be involved in our nonprofit, you can always visit us online at FMWIB, which is short for Flower Mound Women in Business. So that's FMWIB.com.
Got it.
So,
well, thanks for coming on the show. It's been fun talking to you.
I know. It's always good to see a friend and talk to a friend and then talk about our passions.
Yeah, we'll have to do it again soon.
I would love to and look forward to it.
Awesome. Well, that's this week's Fight to Fly.